Hey, what's up guys? It is Rob, and do you know what time it is? It's movie review time, baby. That's right. I thought since it's getting closer to Halloween, why not review every single Halloween film up to the newest one? I cannot believe we're getting a brand new Halloween film this year. It just baffles my mind. I saw the newest trailer, really liked it, but that's another video. I actually already reviewed every single Halloween movie. It was more like a quick thoughts. If you want to see that, it's like the second video on my channel. I even talked about the Rob Zombie ones. But we'll get to that, okay? I am going to review every single Halloween movie individually and give my thoughts. You ready, Michael? He's ready. So we're going to start with the 1978 classic, Halloween. Scored and directed by John Carpenter. And let's face it, this movie has one of the most notable soundtracks ever, most notable theme. When you hear the Halloween music, boom, that's Halloween. The version has been done by many composers, but John Carpenter's version is the most original, and it is the original. So, but when you think of themes like Jaws, you already know it's Jaws. Rocky, you know it's Rocky. The Shining, okay? Halloween, it's a no-brainer. Nightmare on Elm Street's another one. But John Carpenter, man, he has some good flicks out there. But this is the one that laid the road to the 80s slashers. You could argue that, well, Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out before Halloween. Psycho came out before that. Could say Psycho started it, which it pretty much did, but this movie pretty much laid the groundwork for the 80s, because in the 80s, I mean, you have so many slasher horror films that came out that are just so awesome. And it was, I think it was because of just the way this movie was shot and the way it was done. Very different from Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Psycho. Even though there is a scene in Halloween that is paying homage to Psycho. The beginning scene where young Michael is stabbing Judith, and they show the actual knife going like that. The actual cinematography work was paying homage to Psycho. And that's what John Carpenter wanted. But anyway, you have Donald Pleasence in this, who plays Dr. Sam Loomis. And he's fantastic. He appears in a lot of the sequels, and it's like you cannot have a Halloween movie without Donald Pleasence. And he wasn't even the first person they came to. They wanted Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing to be Dr. Loomis. I wonder how that would have turned out. I don't know. Would have been interesting. But you have Jamie Lee Curtis, who plays the famous Laurie Strode, and it was her film debut. And she really plays a strong-willed character. I mean, she doesn't really say much. She's kind of quiet, kind of keeps to herself in this movie, and but when the third act hits, you can see that she is just strong-willed. She just doesn't give up. And it's funny, you know, Jamie Lee Curtis goes on to be in some great films after this. So, you know, Jamie Lee Curtis always talks about how this film changed her life. It pretty much gave her opportunities. You got PJ Soles, who plays Linda. You have Nick Castle, who plays Michael Myers with the mask on. He plays Myers. And he was fantastic. I mean, absolutely fantastic. The movements, the turning of the head, like he was almost robotic in a way. The movie is basically about a kid who kills his sister, stabs his sister to death with a kitchen knife, and then is sent away in a mental institute, but then escapes 15 years later. And he basically, puts on a mask and starts terrorizing babysitters. And that's the basis of the film. He just starts running amok on these people. And Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, is caught in the middle with her friends and some of their boyfriends and so on. So and Dr. Loomis, who evaluates Michael, finds out that he escaped, and he's on the hunt for Michael while Michael's in the town doing his thing, Haddonfield, Illinois. This movie has a lot of memorable scenes, a lot of memorable kills. It's not overly gory. It's not even gory. Really, it's not. That's why I think this movie has the same effect as Texas Chainsaw did, because the original Texas Chainsaw was not gory or bloody at all. I mean, it was the disturbing aspect of that film that worked. It made you think of what was going on, like the people's reactions to what was going on. It really, you didn't need to go over the top. I mean, you don't need to sit there and watch Michael stabbing someone 20 times in the head like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. They don't need to be overly gory and show all that stuff. You don't need to be like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning, where they freaking cut someone in half with a chainsaw. You don't need to see that. You don't need to see it in order for it to have an effect on your mind. So that's the basic story. Is these girls try to survive this killer who's stalking them, watching them, trying to kill them. Had a $300,000 budget, made $70 million at the box office, considered a success. And it became like a cult following. People thought it had something to do with like Satanism and stuff, the way Michael was kind of, I want to say, brought up, his character, and John Carpenter dismissed all that stuff. That wasn't his intention for the character. Of course, later on in the sequels, we get some kind of cult thing that Michael was involved with, and that's the reason why he was doing the things he did. Of course, we got to explain that, Can't just be some guy who's mentally ill or just wants to do things because he wants to. Like I always say, it's scarier not having a motive. Hannibal Lecter likes to eat people. Why? We don't know until Hannibal Rising. We don't know why. He just likes to. I think it's scarier with no motive. They just do because they do. Tommy Lee Wallace created the mask from a Captain Kirk mask. William Shatner. It's William Shatner's face. But Tommy basically took this Captain Kirk mask that he got for like $1.98, and he widened the eye holes. He made it into like a pale looking face, which was just, John Carpenter called it faceless. And the mask worked. It was like the scariest thing, because when you stand in the distance in the dark, all you see is a white face. I mean, there's nothing scarier than that. I mean, it works. It's effective. And the fact that it's William Shatner's face is funny. I mean, wow. I'd be honored if I was William Shatner. I'd be like, hell yeah. But he created it, and there's been many versions of the mask, but I like, the mask from the first and second film. There are minor differences, like minor differences from the first and second one, but I do like it if I had to pick out of every single one, for sure. It took 10 days to write the script. 10 days. And there was extra footage. I used to have the television version where on TV they had extra scenes thrown in there. There was scenes with Dr. Loomis and stuff like that, and it wasn't really anything special. It was just something like extended to put in there. I don't have that anymore. But there was also stuff that they did for like 3 weeks on filming in different locations and stuff like that. It was actually kind of, I think, whoever it was that was in charge of the, I want to say production, but the costume design, they actually went to JCPenney and bought like all these clothes for the characters in the movie. And they didn't hardly spend, I mean, they were on a low budget, a tight budget, but it wasn't really that much as far as spending for clothes and stuff for people to wear. Like I said, they got the mask for $1.98 and made it their own. So, Nick Castle, he played, of course, Michael Myers, and then he went on to direct films like this one, The Last Starfighter. He also did Dennis the Menace, 1993, and Major Payne in 1995. I did not know he did Major Payne. But from what I understand, he's coming back for the newest film in 2018 to do, I guess, I don't know. Some people are saying that he's coming back to play Myers. Other people are saying that he's coming back to do a cameo Myers. It's like, why do that? It doesn't make sense if he was doing a cameo. It's like, how are we going to know which part he's playing? Why do that? He's covered up. Why not just, I don't know. Hopefully he's coming back to play the full length of the film as Myers. The ending of Halloween is very interesting because Laurie Strode gets stabbed in the arm, and then Loomis comes in and he shoots Michael 6 times. Michael falls off the balcony onto the grass, and Loomis makes sure that Laurie's okay, and he looks and Michael's gone. Now we're talking about a regular human being here. This was before, like if Michael gets resurrected or if he's still alive after being shot in the eyes and burned and all that stuff. This was before all that. He got shot 6 times. It's not like he was wearing a bulletproof vest, okay? The guy can take 6 shots and still be alive. I mean, Halloween 2 starts right up after Halloween 1, and he's just sitting there walking around like he didn't even get hurt. So what are we dealing with in this movie? Are we dealing with a human, or are we dealing with somebody who is who's not really human? Or just ignores pain? I don't know. But I will never forget the ending, because when he ends up missing, you're just like, what? Like, wait a minute, what? Like, how? And the music starts up. You don't know what death is. I'll never forget it. Never forget that ending. And the music, the soundtrack alone throughout the film it's played in perfect parts. I mean, you know, the part where Michael's standing where the clothesline is, and he's looking up at Laurie as she looks out the window. And then she kind of does this, and then she looks back out, and then he's gone again. He can teleport. Just like Jason in Takes Manhattan, he can teleport. I mean, there's even the part where he's standing there, and he walks behind these bushes. Laurie runs over. Well, no, first I think it's PJ Souls who runs over there first. And she's like, oh, he wants to meet you. And then Laurie goes over there, and there's nobody there. So he hurried his ass down past the bushes to get out of sight. Either that or he teleported. But see, that is the cliche of horror films that will come after this movie. This movie pretty much started that whole thing. Is he there? Oh wait, he's not there. He's there 1 minute and he's not there. This is the movie that started that. Okay, because it becomes a thing in those films like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff like that. It starts that. So, but the music plays perfectly each time he appears and then disappears. It's fantastic. And I love all the tracks to the original Halloween film. Like all the themes. It was always a tradition in my house that we would watch at least one of the Halloween films during Halloween night. Whether it would be before Trick or Treat or after, because Trick or Treat back then started at 5 and it went to 5 to 7, I believe. Or maybe it was earlier. Maybe it was 4 to 6. I think it was earlier, because now I think it's 5 to 7. So I think it was earlier back then. But the thing is, like, I always love going trick-or-treating when it's dark. I mean, that's the whole point. People have lights and turn their porch lights on. You can't really see it in the daytime. I always think of the movie E.T. when they're all walking around in their Halloween costumes in the daytime. It's like, that looks stupid. But I don't know. A lot of things have changed, like, since I was little. Like, it seemed like it was more fun. But my kids get to enjoy, you know, dressing up and having fun, getting candy and stuff like that. Whatever, you know. It's Halloween. It's still going on. They're still doing stuff. So it's you know, why not? But anyway, Halloween 1978, classic slasher film for sure. And I would say it is the best of the Halloween films out of every single one. My favorites are 1, 2, I like 4 a lot, and I love H2O. I really love H2O. I think they did a good job with that one. But anyway, guys, if I had to rate Halloween 1978, I would give this movie, I'm going to go with a 9.5 out of 10, for sure. Otherwise, I would put it as a perfect film. I would put it as a 10 out of 10. But there are some things that, you know, there are some things that they really don't explain, like the fact that he gets shot and then he's fine. You know, there are some things like, it's a cliche. Okay, it's a cliche, whatever. It just rubs off. But I'm going to say 9.5 out of 10. So Thank you for watching this review. Stay tuned for Halloween 2, which is next.